Hey, today I just want to talk about how I hate that life is all about pretending. I hate all the fake positivity out there. It's also called toxic positivity. Basically, what it means is that people pretend to be happy, right? People pretend they're having a good time. Could be in the corporate culture, could be when you're in family gatherings. It just feels like it's a social norm for everyone to feel happy when you're with people that are contributing towards a certain goal, right? You expect it to be a sheep in our society, which is really stupid, right? If you look at it, it seems like society really wants us to conform and wants everyone to think similarly in terms of the values, and it makes them easier to control when they're collectively thinking the same. That's exactly why ideologies exist, exactly why religion as well as politics exist, right? Political parties. People in a typical political party or in a religion will think very similarly, and it's easier to control and reinforce similar behavior within that group. And it's just very interesting to think about. But there was a lot I want to talk today because I know I haven't made a video for a long time. I did my live stream yesterday after work. It was great. I met a lot of you. Sorry if I didn't answer every single one of you in the chat. I did try to get through everyone, but I was quite overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that was happening. But I was very grateful because for the longest time I just feel like I need to speak to someone, and for a moment I was distracted from reality during that stream. You could see I was much more happy, but unfortunately reality is still going to stay the same, right? It's not going to be a pleasant, full of unicorns and rainbows. It's a dark place out there. So let me just explain to you pretty much how I see life in terms of how fake it is. So before I talk about that, I just want to talk about something that happened at work today. Don't worry, it won't be long. But I do think it has something to do with what I'm about to say. It's going to foreshadow a lot of the things I feel like I'm going to say. So today at work, I bumped my head really hard on like a metal shelf. You know how like typically there would be some boxes, like basically the metal shelves in a warehouse factory, pretty much hit my head at the roof off the freaking metal shelf and really hurt. And guess what happened? Basically, I told the manager and I didn't get a write-up. Apparently you're supposed to get a write-up, and yeah, some companies just like fabricate, the incident, like work incidents, unfortunately, right? I feel like a lot of companies don't take safety seriously until something crap happens. They act and pretend like safety is the number one priority, but in reality it's really just the employees quota, like the revenue reports that matters, right? The numbers to investors. And it feels like for us, we're just tools to help funnel money to them endlessly, right? We're indispensable tools. We are nothing but pretty much like sheep, you could say. We are, and they're the shepherd, and we have to follow every single order they have, which is unfortunate in this type of society. So it's very interesting about. Maybe you have a relatable experience, but yeah, it really sucks. Another pet peeve I have with people is that a lot of people just tend to be passive aggressive. For example, I know a lot of my past friends, they wanted to play a game, for example, or watch a show. They would first initially say, hey, I'm down to play any game, down to watch any TV show. And then as soon as I recommend one, they will start, critiquing it, right? Saying, hey, let's watch a different show. It's like people pretend to be nice. That's the issue, man. Like people will only show their true colors when one of their opinions are being attacked. That is just a very casual example. You could see how hard things could go, right? In politics or religion, people will literally go all out just to defend their opinion. And I feel like this society really cares about winning arguments, which I talked about in many of my videos, how people love to win debates, win their argument. Even in my Discord server, I've seen people want to defend their point. They think their worldview is the correct one and the objective one that's correct. And yeah. And another thing happened, like partially like at my work. Basically, there used to be an employee at my work. I used to have a coworker. Pretty much, he offered to drive me home, right? A very kind, favor he, offered me. So I got in his car. We were driving the highway, going like around 90 kilometers per hour, and out of the ordinary, he asked me if I could co-sign loan. Now that coworker only just met, all right? That was like pretty much the first day, and I felt something was fishy, right? He told me like how he couldn't pay his rent, how he just had a kid, and yeah, it just feels like I was kind of put on the spot and I'm stuck in his car. It feels very, very scary, right? Imagine someone like asks you to co-sign a loan and he wanted me to come to the bank with him. So if you don't know what co-signing a loan does, it pretty much makes you liable for their loans as well. For example, if they don't pay their loans, you have to pay for them. You're going to be in legal trouble if you don't. So that is a really messed up thing that happened looking back at it. Like back then I was naive. I didn't really feel like there was much, issue, but after searching online, I figured out that was very messed up. And I really don't want to get into legal trouble because of that. So luckily I said no at the time just because I wasn't exactly sure what it is. And luckily I backed down. But he probably thought I was an easy target since I'm a gullible person. I seem like someone who is a pushover, right? You probably think I'm someone who is a bit almost too trustworthy of people sometimes, which is definitely a negative trait of mine. And there's just a lot of things wrong, right? Like that's just some examples from my life. I just want to explain like how he actually originally he's acted like a kind person, right? He seemed like a really chill, friendly person. He offered me a ride, but he showed my true colors when me and him were alone. He even stated that he didn't want me to tell any of my coworkers, to anyone, about what he requested. It's almost like people take advantage of others and try to be friendly to others to get and reach a certain goal. For example, his goal was to get me to co-sign a loan so he doesn't have to pay for it. And he basically acted friendly to reach that goal. People would act friendly just to get to places. That's not authentic. I feel like there's a lot of genuine people out there just wanting to do a good deed just for the sake of it. You don't have to get anything out of a good deed, right? Or a favor. It's ridiculous how people expect others to give back, right? Whole point of a favor is that you're not expecting anything in return. But everything has to, of course, be a monetary transaction now. Like even friendships can be a business transaction. That's why you never mix friends and business together, right? And this really got me thinking, right? Remember a few years back, me and my family used to go to some family friend's house, and if you don't know, in Asian, like Chinese culture, typically it's the social norm to reject or decline gifts. For example, if someone gives you like a red envelope, like a lucky envelope, or a gift, or money, you will say, nope, no thank you, you're gonna act like super friendly. That's Chinese culture. If you're born from a Western country, or if you're not Asian, you probably don't know this, but I'm not sure if this also happens in Korean culture, or Japanese culture, or even Filipino culture. Let me know in the comments. But basically, it's like almost like a courtesy to just reject any gift, and then only until they really reinforce that you do deserve the gift, then you say yes. It's like so dumb. Like, why can't you just like say yes, thank you, give me the gift? Like people literally like aren't genuine when they even hang out with friends, like family gatherings. People will act and pretend to be nice at the dinner table. They'll be like, Hey Jimmy, how's dinner tonight? And then, at closed doors, your parents are probably barking like fuck freaking attack dogs, going left and right, like freaking politicians. Like axe to tax. Okay, but yeah, you see what my point is. You see how idiotic this is, right? It's like people are pretending to be someone they're not without even realizing it. Because I feel like in this society, I don't know, people just don't seem like being genuine is the right thing. It's almost like people are scared of being themselves, scared of being genuine, scared of digging too close into their inner soul. They don't want to accept who they truly are because they never really discovered it. When you were a kid, your parents probably asked you like, what do you want to be, right? Like, what profession? You probably said firefighter, astronaut, doctor. They never asked you who do you want to be as a human being, right? It's almost like people's entire career, their job, profession is their entire identity, personality, right? Like, are humans that shallow nowadays? Like, is their career their only representation and title? Like, when you introduce to someone, you're probably like, hey, I am a nurse, or I am an IT, I am an engineer, or I'm a student at this university. You're not going to say what your aspirations are immediately. You're not going to say your life philosophy. You might say your ideology, but it seems like no one really knows who they are. They just know what they are, right? Like, that your job is this, what you do for fun, but what are you missing deep in yourself? Have you ever thought about that? Probably not, right? And I just find it frustrating how so many people just lie, fabricate, exaggerate their social achievements. Like, it could also be in the form of a resume, right? You tend to maybe exaggerate what you do just to look better, and hopefully you can get accepted for an interview. It's like the interview process is so dumb, man. Like, when you show up to an interview, you're obviously not going to be genuine. You're going to try to impress the interviewer. You're going to do extensive research on the website, figure out about their company culture, figure out about what the ideal fit for their candidate is, and you will basically morph yourself into the persona of the candidate that fits, right? There's a lot of UX, psychological things that goes around. It's just like you basically become an actor in that sense. You are no longer yourself. You are essentially competing with probably hundreds or thousands of others doing the exact same thing. Like, is this what we really want to achieve in society? People trying so desperate to get a job that they're willing to just sacrifice their own being and just be someone else. And I know this doesn't apply to every single one. Some people are actually genuine, but I can assure you that majority of people are not going to be fully themselves. They might put on a slight mask. And yeah, just frustrating how like so many people just pretend to be happy, even social gatherings, with their friends, at work, when you're by yourself. There's a lot of positive reinforcement. Like, you're like your hype man sometimes, right? It's like so dumb. Just be yourself. People are so ashamed of being a genuine self in public. It's crazy, right? Like right now, I'm being myself. I don't care if I stutter. I don't care if something happens to me. I don't care if I get shamed in comments. Like, holy. Yeah, it's like crazy, man. Like if I'm sorry if I'm like sneezing a lot. Like, well, like I don't know why is it so chilly here. Anyways, basically something I learned was that I realized a lot of people, like this society as a whole, just like to master a lot of things, right? Like their skills. People like to be accomplished. People like to learn an instrument or feel like they achieved something. Have a bit of social status, right? To show off to others. Maybe you don't have to show off to others. Maybe you just want approval from others that you are achieving something in life. You are a valuable asset to society. That's ultimately what our brains are socially conditioned to think in a capitalist society. It's crazy. You probably don't realize this, but you really have to really think about it. And it's interesting in a capitalist society, in a society run by meritocracy, achievement society, it's almost like we want full control of the nature, the elements, like Avatar The Last Airbender. We want to master all four elements and pretty much control nature, the force of nature, right? It's like in this type of society, we want to advance technology at an unprecedented. Okay, I can't even pronounce that freaking word, but you probably know what it is. You hear it all the time on the news. Unprecedented, news coming today. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that technology is advancing at a rapid pace, a speed that's pretty much tripling every year. It's like crazy, the amount of technical development. The issue is that it's almost like we have to compete against nature, right? Like we are constantly studying more about the world, studying about the ocean, geography, studying about pretty much how we can prevent certain natural disasters. It's like humans want to master the world, master Earth. And it's kind of crazy how in this society we care more about technological advancements than our own autonomy and our own self-being and our own wealth-being as well. Like we don't care much about our mental health, Sally. It's more about revenue, more about money, more about, you know, artificial happiness. And yeah, it just feels like, I know a lot. You might argue, you might say, hey, we got human rights, right? I'll tell you what, right? Human rights are commercialized. They're not genuine. Human rights is something that aren't really deserved, right? Like in our society, it seems like it's not natural. Not a natural inherent thing we deserve, and it's so ridiculous, man. Like I feel like a lot of source of government just doesn't take it seriously, right? Human rights should be called human needs. It should be a natural, thing you're guaranteed for, like water, food, shelter. Shouldn't be something that you might worry about. Same with security and freedom. So it's interesting to think about. Another thing that frustrates me in this society is that people objectify everything. They like to only think of things objectively, not. And it's just frustrating. People just like using only their rationality. People rarely use their gut feeling anymore. It's like in our society, we're very data driven, right? I feel like education and schools push that a lot, right? Like, for example, in a test or exam, you're only expected to have only like one correct answer. Any other type of thinking is dismissed, right? So I feel like that's why there's lack of critical thinking in our society and makes everybody becomes pretty much sheep. Everybody thinks pretty much the same way, methodically, and it's very surface level and superficial, which frustrates me. I don't really understand. And yeah, just really unfortunate. And another example I could give for people just being fake, right? Not being themselves and just pretending to be someone else in the society is, have you ever went to like a mall and you walked across like a Verizon, Bell, Fido, Telus, like a phone kiosk? They're asking to sell for phone servers. And, those guys seem really hyped about the phone itself. They're like, this phone offers 5G. It has a 1.4 radius meter. It is built in with high-tech security. Well, they're obviously not being themselves. They're putting on a false mask. They're doing that just to get commissions out of you, so they make more money. Same with waitresses and waiters in restaurants, right? They're probably not going to act like that towards their family or their friends. They're going to be like, hey, are you okay over there? Like, they're going to keep checking you. Hey, do you want me to fill up your water? Is everything okay? It's like ridiculous, man. It's like everybody's a dang actor nowadays. Like, stop. This is frustrating. Yeah, just unfortunate. It feels like our social roles literally got predetermined by society. It's like we automatically know that we are expected to work, 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 consume, consume, consume. fake it out, fake it out, fake it out. It's like ridiculous. And it feels like everything wants to sell us nowadays. Even news media, they want to sell us a specific narrative. Back then, we had newspapers. Back then, we would have an actual conversation. We would actually have a communicative rationality with other people, which means that we would go to social gatherings, family gatherings. We would talk about it face to face, about society. Nowadays, we just go on Google, go on CNN, or watch TV, or even go on Reddit to see news source that might not be credible. We just automatically assume every news source is like credible if it's from, for example, maybe a left-leaning, source, and probably not Russian propaganda, right? It's just ridiculous how people just, there's just so much more I want to talk about, but I'm sure you guys probably get it by now. Like, humans, we are very focused on hyper efficiency in this very tech-heavy phase in our life. There's the advancement of AI. Everybody's super high for advancement of tech. Hooray! While the poor people suffer. And it's like, we're the forgotten class. The poor people, the exploited class. The factory workers like me, who have to work every ounce of sweat, every ounce of tear we have to put in. We don't get the same value back. We get underpaid, all right? So I don't know what the deal was that. Like, I know some of you might like capitalist society. Maybe you have survivorship bias. Maybe you're making like good figures, making like triple digits, like 6 digits, like freaking 100K a year. Great. If you're like a software engineer, sure, some of you guys are those type of people that are making 100 grand a year or even 80 grand a year. Happy for you. Thank you for, watching, I guess. But hopefully you at least understand and have a bit of empathy. Like, I'm not expecting you to like feel bad for me or like, say sorry, but just unfortunate how like it feels like everybody just quantifies everything now as well. It seems like people think we can find a solution to everything through science, which is not true. You can't figure out if God exists through science. It's like everything we do, it's pretty much dumbed down, and once we want to disassemble things into their own physical matter. Everything needs to be tangible in order for it to be the truth, in order for it to be real, which is absolutely absurd. We have no sense of, spiritual being anymore. It's like, this is why I feel like our society is going backwards in some ways. But yeah, enough rambling anymore. I'll let you know. Let me know your comments, like, down in the comment section. I'm curious to hear your opinions on what I discussed. Sorry if I went all over the place. There's just a lot of frustration I have with the world. And yeah, sorry if this video is a bit long, but thank you for hearing my rant. And hopefully you understand, you get it. Anyways, peace out and take care. And have a great rest of your day or night.